Alright everybody, what's going on? It's Thundershot, and I am here tonight to review for you guys Payback WWE or today, depending on when you watch this. I try to get these up as quickly as I can after the pay-per-view ends. It's still fresh on my mind. That way I get it on YouTube as soon as possible. It just seems to work out the best video-wise. But we're here to review / recap WWE Payback 2016. Overall, pretty solid. But let's just dive right into it, okay? There were some pre-show matches. I normally skip the pre-show matches. Today was practically no different when it came down to it. We had Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin, which I'm kind of surprised was a pre-show match. It feels like that one kind of got... I understand why it was a pre-show match. I just didn't expect it to be. So the Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin build-up was kind of weird to me, because going into this situation, it was already pretty shitty, because there was one of two outcomes possible. Either one, Baron Corbin wins, which means Dolph Ziggler is officially Jobber City, because he's been getting his ass kicked by Baron Corbin for a couple weeks now. And even after a couple weeks of ass-kicking, if Baron Corbin beats him at Payback, then that kind of solidifies, yeah, Dolph Ziggler is just out there to get this, just to get the shit kicked out of him by Baron Corbin. Or number two, Dolph Ziggler wins, and that kind of slows down Corbin's hype train a little bit, because he just came in and just started kicking ass, and he looked awesome, and he won the big man battle royal at Mania, and he was looking really good. And if his momentum gets stopped, that's shitty too. And Dolph Ziggler did win this match. Again, I did not watch it. I saw highlights from the looks of it. It was more same old, pretty much Corbin beating the crap out of Ziggler for the most part. Ziggler getting a couple decent shots in, and then Ziggler wins via roll-up, so it's not even a dominating victory. And again, I guess Ziggler's not really a jobber guy because he pulled off the roll-up victory, but Corbin's hype train kind of stops. I don't know. It was just weird. I saw when Apollo Crews debuted, he went up against Tyler Breeze, and Tyler Breeze did the job to Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews got to win and look at him, and I understand that because Tyler Breeze is new. And then they had Corbin versus Ziggler, and that match ended up being like a disqualification or a count out or something weird, but it was more the same thing, and I don't like where Dolph Ziggler is right now, and I hope this doesn't hinder Corbin's progress too much. It was just a weird match setup as a whole for me, so hopefully they can kind of straighten things out moving forward for both Ziggler and Corbin, because I like both those guys. It just kind of sucks that they're at this really weird spot right now, but it's not over. Nothing's set in stone. I hope they're able to work their way out of this weird spot. And if you thought differently about the match, feel free to let me know. It's just my feelings on it. Next match was the U.S. Championship, otherwise known as the PS Championship, PS standing for pre-show, because unless John Cena holds the title, that's the only place that the title is defended, and it doesn't really matter. But here we are with Kalisto versus Ryback. I caught the very end of this. Apparently when Ryback entered, they were in the Chicago crowd, and Ryback entered doing the CM Punk, it's clobbering time, tapping his watch, it's clobbering time, and he slapped his head because it's the Ryback thing, to piss off the Chicago crowd, which I kind of like a little bit of character he threw in there. I like Ryback as a heel. Honestly thought he was going to win. I think I wasn't the only one thinking Ryback was going to win and get the U.S. title back here, kind of setting up for a John Cena return if Cena wants to take the title off Ryback after he claims a victory. That way they have the face heel thing. Maybe they make the United States Championship matter again, but I'll talk about that here in a minute. Kalisto ends up getting the victory. They did a lot of cool stuff back and forth. Ryback went to the top, tried a frog splash. Kalisto was doing a bunch of stuff. Finally hits the Salida del Sol and pins him 1, 2, 3. It was a good match. I can't say it was a good match. The ending that I caught was a good match. At least the last 5 minutes or so was really good match-wise. I liked it. I still like Kalisto. I still don't understand why the U.S. title. It's like, this is my problem. This is what I was going to talk about earlier. John Cena had the title, and it's every week he's out there defending against a superstar, which I like. I got to show off newer talent, got to show off guys we want to see. They ultimately lose to John Cena, but they were doing something interesting with it. Alberto Del Rio comes back, beats Cena for the title. Cena has an injury, then Cena's out forever. And then the title doesn't matter anymore. I understand Alberto Del Rio is not that hype, but then Kalisto got the title and everyone was thrilled for it, and it was, I don't know, and then it's just when John Cena had the title, it mattered, and then when Kalisto got the title, it's pre-show only. It doesn't matter. No, like 30% of the people who actually watch the pay-per-view tune in for the pre-show, so most people miss the pre-show anyway, so the U.S. title just doesn't matter. And then they're out there doing tag team spots, like Kalisto, who is the United States champion with Sin Cara, lost to the Vaudevillians, who are a new tag team that just got brought up from NXT. I absolutely love the Vaudevillains. I love that they won the match, but why is the U.S. champion out here losing to new tag teams? It just doesn't make sense. Either break up the Lucha Dragons as a tag team so Kalisto can actually go shine as himself, or just do something with him. I don't know. It's the pre-show title right now, and I hate it. That's what bugs me the most. And if John Cena comes back and gets the title back again, it's not going to be the pre-show title anymore. But then as soon as he drops it, it'll probably go back to being the pre-show title again, and I absolutely hate that idea that the title can only matter when it's in John Cena's hands, and he might not come back and pick it up, so it might stay the pre-show title forever. It's just, the whole situation bugs me. I'm just going to move on. Main card stuff, I was watching all of this from here on out. Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus the versus the Vaudevillains. It ended in a no result. Enzo got injured. By the end of the night, we found out Enzo had gotten a concussion. It looked really bad when he got injured. His head smacked really hard. The stretchers came out. They hauled him off. The match was just called right there. No winner, no loser. It just ended. Later in the night, we found out Enzo had gotten hit with a concussion. He had a concussion, but everything else seemed to be checking out pretty okay. He recovered from his concussion just fine. Concussions are not a good thing by any means, but considering he wasn't paralyzed, he doesn't have any injury that can keep him out of the game for too terribly long. I think WWE protocol is usually, I want to say 2 to 6 weeks, probably closer to 4 to 6 weeks. They have to be good for like a month with no weird things going on, and then they're good to come back. I might be incorrect on that. Somebody feel free to correct me in the comment section down below. I'm drawing from what I think I've heard before here. But hopefully we'll see Enzo and Cass back soon. Story-wise, I don't think this is messed with too much. Number one, if the Vaudevillains win this, that's the less obvious choice because Enzo and Cass have so much hype behind them right now. If the Vaudevillains win this, it's the less obvious choice. New Day is a face right now, so it would set up a good heel-face tag team championship matchup for the next pay-per-view. And then also there have been some rumors circulating that whether it was for the tag titles or not, the Vaudevillains were going to have a feud with the New Day here in the near future. Those have been some rumors circulating. So I was like 95% sure the Vaudevillains were going to win anyway. So I'm assuming it will just resume business as normal since since Enzo and Cass are out of it. They'll probably just plug in the Vaudevillains and let this story play out how it was supposed to in the first place. They were having a decent. I can't really even talk about the match that much because the match only went on for like 5 minutes. Enzo and Cass do their entrance. It's always great. The Vaudevillains came out. The match had not gone on very long at all, and Enzo took the hit in the head, and the match ended. So, tough break for Enzo. Hope he comes back as quick as possible. I love Enzo and Cass. Hope the Vaudevillains do good stuff with the New Day, and let's move on from that one. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I like this match. It was a good match back and forth. I am not the biggest Sami Zayn fan personally, and I feel like I'm like the only guy like that right now. I don't know. He comes out and he gets hyped, but there's nothing crazy special about him, I guess. I don't know. But I do like Kevin Owens, and I'm glad Kevin Owens won because that wasn't the obvious choice. A lot of people were thinking Sami Zayn picked this one up easily. I like that Kevin Owens won. Kind of sent a shock to the people. Kevin got to be on commentary and do his interviews and stuff were really good. And then Kevin Owens on commentary was great. I don't have a whole lot to say about this match other than I really liked it. Very good back and forth. I was okay with the outcome. I wouldn't have been too upset if Sami Zayn would have won because ultimately this isn't for a title. It doesn't matter as far as matches goes. As long as we get a good match, I'm going to be happy at the end of the day. And a good match we got. So good stuff. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Next match on the card, Intercontinental Championship. The Miz versus Cesaro. Cesaro was out. Cesaro was going to win. And interference and this and that. And Kevin Owens on commentary. And Sami Zayn rolled into the ring and interference again. And bottom line, Miz ended up retaining his championship. Cesaro had Miz tapping out to the crossface, I believe. Some interference from Kevin Owens. And the referee was distracted looking at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's fight. The Miz rolls up Cesaro. Grabs a big handful of tights, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3 on another roll-up victory, and Miz retains the title. And I could give Cesaro, it would be nice to see the title on Cesaro, right? But I could give less of a shit. Why do they have it on the Miz? Why do they put, this is something that will forever blow my mind and will forever befuddle me absolutely to no end, something I do not understand. WrestleMania night, they have the 6-man ladder match. Zack Ryder wins the 6-man ladder match. Everybody loves it. Nobody expected Zack Ryder to win the ladder match. Everybody still likes and remembers Zack Ryder. Anybody who knew him from before still likes and remembers Zack Ryder, so they were all happy, or at least a lot of them were happy that Zack Ryder won the match. If he wasn't their number one favorite guy in the match, he was probably at least 2 or 3, so a lot of people were thrilled with that in the 6-man match. Zack Ryder comes out the next night on Monday Night Raw. And as soon as he starts cutting his promo, as soon as he starts talking, the crowd erupts with "You deserve it" chants because Zack Ryder has been putting the time and effort in for years and years. Ever since he lost the U.S. Championship to John Cena and never got a rematch years and years ago, he's never been around the title picture at all ever, and nobody knows why, but he came back to massive welcome of "You deserve it" chants the next night on Monday Night Raw, where he then lost the title to The Miz right in front of everybody and his dad and all this stuff, and we're like, okay, that's really weird that he lost the title to The Miz, but at that point, I honestly thought, you know what, he'll win it back quick. This is the WWE kind of apologizing to Zack Ryder. They're going to get him 2 different Intercontinental title reigns really quick back-to-back. That was honestly how I was thinking. Lo and behold, they had his Intercontinental Championship rematch on SmackDown, which is not the most watched one, so I never even knew he got an Intercontinental Championship rematch. Along with a lot of other people, and then he's back on NXT the next week doing Hype Bros stuff, and then he's never talked about again, and it's what? But it's not even that like they pull. It's that they pulled Zack Ryder. I do not understand that entirely. The crowd fucking loved it. Nobody saw it coming. Everybody was ready for a good Zack Ryder title reign, and they were all happy to see one. And then they brought, I don't know if they thought it would make The Miz more healing. The number 2, it's The Miz. Like, who honestly, like, digs what The Miz is doing? Miz has never been, like, super great in the ring. He's charismatic, I'll give him that. I mean, you know, he should be hosting some of these things. He's maybe not on commentary, but he should be interviewing people. I don't know. He should be out. He should be one. Fuck. I'm not a Miz fan. I've never been a Miz fan. I've always been a Zack Ryder fan, kind of been waiting for him to come back into light, and he did, and they immediately took it from him after they're like, hey, do you think people would like it if we gave Zack Ryder the championship? And they did, and everybody fucking loved it. They're like, oh, hey, everybody loves it when Zack Ryder's the champion. Good. Take it away from him immediately. NXT. Hype Bros. He's going to be down there for a while, again, even though he's been there for... fuck it. All right, next match. Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. Good match overall. I kind of would like to see Jericho win just because at WrestleMania, everybody thought AJ was going to win, and Jericho ended up winning, and it didn't hurt AJ at all because he immediately got a title shot the next night. Also, Dean Ambrose doesn't seem to really be hindered by losses. Dean Ambrose has lost a lot recently. He lost to Triple H in their match for the championship. He lost to Brock Lesnar in their Extreme Rules match, but the Dean Ambrose hype train never stops. He's kind of like the Wyatts in a sense, but probably a little bit better off. The Wyatts are in a lot of big-name matches. They usually end up losing them, but they're still always a threat. They're still always there. Dean Ambrose is sort of the same way. I don't want him to see him lose as many matches as the Wyatts have, maybe, but I wouldn't have minded if Dean Ambrose would have lost this match tonight. He didn't lose, though. He ended up picking the victory over Jericho. I hope it doesn't hurt Jericho too much. It probably won't. He's Chris Jericho. We'll see if their feud continues in the future. Good match overall. Well, I can't say that, actually. The ending was really weird. The whole match, they never really told a story. It didn't feel odd. It just, there was nothing there, if that makes any sense. And then it led up to a really weird ending of Dean Ambrose on the ground, locking Jericho up for a dirty deeds, slowly, very slowly standing up with Jericho for the dirty deeds, and then finally hitting the dirty deeds. It was just, I don't know, if you go back and you look at it on the network, it was just kind of awkward. It was a weird ending to a somewhat lackluster match given the two guys. It wasn't a bad match, it just wasn't one that I was super involved in or super into. Kind of expected better out of the two of them. I don't dislike either of them anymore. I just hope they have better matches in the future, and you know that they can because it's Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about that one, though. Moving on to the next match, we have the Women's Championship match, which I could not have given less of a shit of. I can't care. You know Charlotte's not going to lose the title. It's whatever, they're bringing Bret Hart out for this one. That was like the only cool part is that they brought Bret Hart out for this one. In Natalya's corner, but you know Natalya's not going to win the championship off Charlotte, and even if she does, I don't really care because she's not going to have it very long. Natalya is that she looks like a soccer mom. She looks like a 40-year-old soccer mom, 45-year-old soccer mom, but one of her kids just got into high school, and then she got picked to be one of the sponsors, and then she dressed up really weird so that way maybe the high school dudes would dig her. I don't know, it's just so weird. She's a soccer mom trying to be cool. She's trying to look like a cool, edgy soccer mom. And Natalya's weird for me. I don't understand Natalya necessarily. Like, I don't get the one piece. Like, she could still be a regular diva, but why does she have to do what she does? It's just a weird vibe for me. And then Ric Flair's daughter is Ric Flair's daughter and probably won't ever be anything more than that. And they keep shoving onto it the fact that she's Ric Flair's daughter, so it's whatever. And then on top of all of that, Bret Hart comes back with the prostate cancer thing, and then they did a screw job. Like, how the fuck do you expect us to take you seriously if you're going to do a screw job? We already knew, like, the first time a while back, Charlotte did a Flair bump. She got hit in the face, and then she did the Flair strut, and then took a face bump out of it. She did the Flair bump, and everybody thought that was goofy. Sorry, my camera defocused there. And then out here, then they're doing a screw, and they want us to take the Divas division seriously. They think there's some kind of revolution going on. They think there's something crazy happening, and they want us to take the Divas revolution seriously. They have Sasha Banks in the back. They have Becky Lynch in the back. They've got a whole horde of new Divas that they've been bringing up on Raw in the past couple weeks. Where the fuck is Paige at? I miss Paige a lot. And then they're giving us Charlotte and Natalya, and they're doing a screw job. Like, it ended in a double sharpshooter with Bret putting one on Flair and Natalya putting one on Charlotte, and that was kind of fun to watch. But what the... A screw job from the ref? Is there any... No, they didn't talk about the ref. There was no repercussion. It clearly wasn't that big of a deal because nobody spit on Vince McMahon and the program kept going. Doesn't look like it doesn't look like Natalya's leaving to go to TNA anytime soon. There was no build up to this. This was just really, really, really stupid. And it was just a stretch because Bret Hart was involved. No one can take the women's division seriously with Charlotte up there. Like, I will never give a shit about Natalya anymore. I don't care about Charlotte's title reign. Wake me up when she drops it to Sasha or Becky so I can start giving a shit again. Until then, it's just, you know what I mean? Just bring Paige back, do something with Becky Lynch, do something with Sasha Banks, and we'll figure it out from there. So I keep moving my hair a lot. I know that bothers some people. I can see it in the webcam, and if it sits away I don't like or it gets in front of my face, I have the urge to move it. But I know a couple people said that bugged them, so my apologies if that bothers you too much. Oh my god, and then there was this big ordeal about Vince McMahon announcing who was going to control Monday Night Raw and how it was going to go, and it was Stephanie out there spewing her bullshit like she always does, and then Shane came out and everybody loved him like they always do, and then Vince McMahon decided he was going to split Monday Night Raw down the middle, and it was going to be Stephanie and Shane were going to have to coexist together. Now this leaves me with a couple questions. I don't know where Triple H is. Maybe he was injured and I didn't see it or something, and they didn't mention it or something. I don't know what's going on with Triple H because it was Stephanie and Triple H. Now it's Stephanie and Shane. Where's Triple H at? I thought for a while they were working at some kind of angle that was going to end up with Shane McMahon versus Triple H, and the winner got to keep control of Monday Night Raw, but they're making this another McMahon family affair, so it's more about Stephanie and Shane. However, again, I would have loved to see Shane McMahon versus Triple H, and winner keeps control of Monday Night Raw. There were also rumors that Shane was going to get a hold of Raw and Stephanie was going to control SmackDown. That doesn't necessarily mean that they would split the rosters again, which I would love. I don't have enough time in this video to go into how much I would love the roster split or why I think it would be so cool to break the titles up again and have everybody go their own ways. But it might not have meant that. If Shane got a hold of Raw and Stephanie got a hold of SmackDown, it might be the same roster back and forth like it is. It's just stuff might start actually happening on SmackDown that we should give a shit about now. It just depends. It's hard to say. But for now, at least we know that they're going 50-50. I'm assuming this will blow up in all three of the McMahon's face and end horribly, and then there will be some bad blood somewhere along the line or the other. The possibility of Shane versus Triple H for control of Raw is still possible, is still there. The possibility of Shane getting a hold of Raw and Stephanie getting a hold of SmackDown or vice versa is still there. We'll just have to see how this one plays out. Could be an interesting story. The segment itself was kind of boring and lasted a little long for me, at least until Shane got out there. But then we move on to the main event of the night, and we got to the main event, and I was actually like, wow, we're at the main event already. This is kind of nuts. I know the tag team match was cut short, but the night actually flew by in a good way. There were a lot of good matches going on. Also, there were 40 minutes left for the main event between AJ Styles and Roman Reigns. And this match, I've got a lot to say on this match. I don't know how deep I am in the video, but this match was really important, and it was up and it was down, and I've got a decent little bit on this match and my feelings on it. Excuse me. Couple different awesome things that were happening. Number one, Roman actually started out, and if you've been here before, it's the tune I always play. Roman actually started out looking like a monster, looking good, and it's because he's heel now, and he can get, I mean, he gets his time in looking like a threat instead of looking like the underdog, because they always try to paint Roman like the John Cena underdog, or they've been doing that for like the past couple years or so. Or past year or so, and people hate it when they do that. People were cheering Roman when he was a monster and kicking everyone's ass and his shit booking, and I mean, he gets booed now, but no, there's so much to say on the Roman Reigns topic and AJ Styles being here. We'll start with the crowd. We'll start with the crowd booing Roman Reigns. Number one, it's funny because boos don't bother. Like, Roman doesn't give a shit if you boo him anymore. Me, as a fan of Roman Reigns, I don't give a shit if people boo him anymore because he's a tweener. He's not a good guy. He says that. He comes out and he says, I'm not a good guy. He shouts at, I mean, he was getting angry with AJ saying, you want more, like, come at me. You know what I mean? He's not a face, he's not a heel, but he does not give a shit if you boo or cheer him. And that's like the best part as a Roman fan, is I don't have to care if people boo Roman. And that bothers people, bothers the smarks so much that Roman doesn't care anymore, that it doesn't get under his skin. So even with AJ Styles in the ring, they'll start "you can't wrestle" chants. It's just, I don't know, people are reaching really hard to try to be like, hey Roman, I really don't like you, and he's like, I don't care. He's like, well, you can't wrestle, and Roman just he keeps going. He just doesn't give a shit, and I love it. I love that that's where it's at right now. And I feel like this match is also, as a guy who likes Roman Reigns, I feel like this match is also a big Vince McMahon just F everybody, like just flipping off everybody. He's like, oh, they still want to boo Roman? Okay, well, who's their favorite guy? And then they're like, oh, well, AJ Styles is kind of the favorite guy in the WWE right now. And Vince McMahon's like, okay, have Roman Reigns kick his ass. And I feel like that had to be how the board meeting room went, because people were still booing Roman, and Vince was pissed about it. And it's just, he's so out of touch, and the whole thing is just weird. The whole Roman situation was handled horribly. I'm not going to get into that this time. Let's just get into the match. So the match started out, and it's like I've always been pleading for with Roman Reigns, is that he actually looked like a threat. AJ Styles had to do a lot to knock him down the first little bit, but we'll get into that later. AJ Styles had to do a lot. He had to hit him with a lot of stuff before Roman would go down. And even then, AJ would go for a German, Roman would elbow him, AJ would drop. Roman would throw punches, Roman would pick him up with that powerbomb arm slam. By the way, Roman doesn't normally work with guys that light, so he was just able to throw AJ around, and it was glorious. It looked awesome with Roman being able to toss AJ around, because usually you're working with Sheamus or bigger guys or whatever, you know, and he has a little bit more trouble picking him up for that arm powerbomb he does out of the roll-up, you know. But it was looking good. Roman was looking good. AJ was getting a bunch, and he was looking good. And the fucking hairpiece, come on, man. Just stay over there. I might ponytail it up next. I won't do a ponytail, but whatever. And then AJ started kicking a lot of ass. And I mean like a lot of ass. Like AJ was making Roman look bad almost. And it was weird to me because they were doing something so right with Roman like 5 minutes ago. And then now AJ is forearming from the top rope, putting Roman through the table. I thought that was awesome. But then the match got really weird. And everybody looked bad. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a lot to say and I'm really into talking about this. And so how do we do this? Okay, so AJ Styles. Roman's on the outside in front of the announcer's table. AJ Styles from the top rope comes out, phenomenal forearm onto Roman. They both fall and crash through the table because Roman was right in front of it. They fell backwards into it, crashed through the table. It was awesome. The referee gets to like a 6 count, and AJ starts trying to pick Roman up to shuck him in the ring because AJ, he can win by countout, but if he does win by countout, he can't win the title. He cannot win the title by countout. So AJ's trying to pick Roman up and throw him in the ring. And at this point in my mind, I'm like, AJ, roll inside of the ring, roll back out of the ring, break the count, then you get Roman in the ring, everything will be fine. And the referee gets to an 8 count, and AJ's still pulling Roman along. And I'm like, okay, AJ, he'll realize it soon. Roll into the ring, roll out of the ring, break the count. That way the match doesn't end, and you still have a chance to win the title. Come on, AJ, you can do this. And it doesn't look like Roman's going to get up to get in the ring either. He's been phenomenal forearm through a table. The 9 count happens. AJ's still trying to drag Roman. They're right next to the edge, but Roman's a big dude. AJ can't pick him up. So AJ freaks out, rolls into the ring, doesn't roll out of the ring, and then the referee says 10, and the match ends, and AJ wins, but Roman gets to keep the title. And all I could think of, why would you do something where AJ has to look so stupid? Number one, Roman looks weak, because even though it was a phenomenal forearm through the table, he didn't get up and roll back in. It's like he didn't want to, he didn't give a shit about losing his championship that way, or he was legitimately out of it after that attack, which either way, Roman's gotten up for more before, and he will again later, as we'll come to find out. But why does AJ have to look so stupid? Like, AJ's a good wrestler. He's been around. They boast about his work in Japan and his work in the Indies and everything that he's done everywhere and all of his wrestling experience. And he was just so dumb. Like, just roll in and roll out. He can do it as soon as he stands up at the 5 count, at the 6 count, at the 8 count. Roll in the ring, roll back out. The count breaks, the count resets, and AJ doesn't look like a goddamn moron. But that wasn't the case. So then, they did it to work their angle, and I don't think it was AJ's fault. Like in the back room, I don't think it was AJ's fault. This had to be some of Vince's, some of the McMahon, some of the writers' good work. You know how this stuff goes. So Shane McMahon comes out. He says, "No, this match isn't going to end in a disqualification. Reset the match, and it's not going to end in a countout." Shane comes out. He says, "Reset the match. No more countouts." So the match gets restarted. It's no longer a countout match. Roman and AJ go back inside. Again, with the Roman's not a threat, AJ's just kicking his ass thing, and it was weird. Because, like I said, I like the way that Roman looked scary. Roman looked like a threat. He was throwing AJ around. There was one point in time where he picked AJ up and sat him on the top turnbuckle. Like, it looked like he was going to do a slam move of sorts, but instead he just picks AJ up and throws AJ up, and AJ lands on the top turnbuckle, and then Roman just punches him with a hard right, and AJ falls off the side. And it looked fucking sick. And when they were doing that, I liked the way Roman looked, and AJ was fighting back well, so AJ got to look good, but Roman still got to maintain the threat. Roman wasn't the underdog for once, but then they were like, nah, fuck that, mid-match. And they started making AJ kick Roman's ass, so Roman was kind of the underdog again. It was really, really weird, but AJ was just Roman would get a couple shots in here and there, but AJ would always look better, and AJ would always get more stuff in, and AJ's stuff was always more devastating. But Roman kept kicking out, and he kept fighting in, and then one time AJ goes up to the top rope, and when he goes to jump down, Roman throws a right intended for AJ's stomach, but rather hits AJ square in the testicles. The referee sees this. Roman says, no, it wasn't on purpose. It was a gut shot. I wasn't going for the balls. Referee says, no, you hit him in the fucking balls, rings the bell, match is over, disqualification. AJ wins again, but Roman retains the title. Stephanie McMahon comes out and says, no, I'm somehow a face now, and the match is going to restart again, and this time it's going to be no disqualification and no countouts, because Shane missed something. Her point was to one-up Shane, I guess. So the match restarts again, and this, of course, was the moment everybody's been waiting for. And they send out the Bullet Club. They send out Gallows and Anderson. And Anderson and Gallows come out while AJ's laying off to the side or whatever. And because Roman looked like he was about to win the match. I guess I kind of skipped ahead a little bit. After the second disqualification, and then Stephanie came out and reset the match again, Roman actually started fighting a little bit, and he hit AJ with a Superman punch. AJ was going for the forearm. He hit AJ with a Superman punch. He picked AJ up again. Superman punched him a second time. Then he was gearing up for his spear in the corner. Gallows and Anderson come out. The Bullet Club come out. Start beating the piss out of Roman, which I'm not a huge fan of. And AJ's outside of the ring, so AJ apparently never sees this, and even though his buddy's giving him a free win before, or his buddy's coming out to help him before upset him, he's unfazed right now because I guess the championship's on the line, so he's going to take the free win. AJ comes in, and Roman kicks out, and just when you think at this point, they've been building up, and everybody's been hoping like Finn Balor would come out, or something interesting would happen, maybe the Bullet Club would turn on AJ, because AJ would tell them to back off or something. No, none of that happens. They send the Usos out. And it's weird after that. They send the Usos out. Pandemonium breaks out. Roman throws AJ onto the Bullet Club and the Usos, so everybody falls down. Roman does a splash onto the Bullet Club and the Usos. AJ's on the outside, and he forearms Roman Reigns. He hits another phenomenal forearm onto Roman Reigns, which feels like the 60th phenomenal forearm, the 60th fucking forearm that AJ's hit, because AJ hit like 1 billion forearms in this match. It was really weird. And people complain Roman Superman punches too much. I don't know. This match was out there. And then he rolls Roman in the ring, and he does a 450 off the top rope, and you're almost sure that's going to be it at that point. And Roman kicks out, and he hits AJ with a Superman punch. Or he might not have a Superman punch, no, but he spears AJ. He picks up the victory, 1, 2, 3. A lot of torn people on that. The ending was weird. I am a Roman fan. I'm unhappy because Roman got his ass kicked like the entire time, and they still made him look like an underdog. AJ fans were unhappy with how that one went because technically in the end, Roman did beat AJ clean. However, I'm going to argue that in a minute. But no, like I was saying, the match being reset twice killed it. The interference killed it. What are the Usos doing out there? It was just a whole really weird situation. Like I said, as a Roman fan, I'm not too happy. Some AJ fans are not happy with how that one went because in the end, Roman did beat AJ clean. But to that, I would argue a little bit in that Roman got his ass kicked the entire time. The one thing Roman really did, he got hit with a forearm once, and he didn't kick out. He put his foot on the rope, which I thought was smart of WWE to go that route and have Roman put his foot on the rope and not fully kick out of the forearm after he'd gotten his ass kicked so much. And then the only thing Roman actually did in that whole fight, the only thing Roman had going for him in that whole fight was he kicked out of a forearm. He kicked out of a forearm followed by a 450 off the top, and he kicked out of it. And a lot of people didn't think he was going to kick out of it, and a lot of people were upset he kicked out of it. But if you look and go back at that match, AJ looked fucking great. AJ won the match twice, technically. AJ looked phenomenal, if you will. He looked really good. He got all the good hits in on Roman. He kicked Roman's ass. Roman got a couple shots in, but Roman didn't get to do anything super awesome in that match except kick out of that ass-kicking onslaught that was AJ's like billionth forearm followed by a 450 splash. That's the only thing Roman got to do in that whole match. So was it clean? I guess if you don't count the fact that AJ won the match twice before already and the Usos and the Bullet Club got interfered in the match, I guess it was a clean victory on that one. But I would still say AJ got to look better than Roman. Roman just got his ass kicked. He just got his ass kicked the whole time, then speared at the end, which is the same thing that like I've always said I dislike about that. Aside from the beginning of the match, he looked good in the beginning of the match, but it's a whole up in the air thing. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Actually, we know where they're going to go from here, and it's probably going to suck, because here we go. After the match, backstage, Stephanie and Shane were talking with Vince, and they said, should AJ get a rematch? And they said, oh, absolutely, because there was interference, and this match was really fucked, because it was a no disqualification, no count-out match, and then the Bullet Club and the Usos interfered, so that's really screwed up. And then Vince is like, oh, you're right. What kind of rematch can we give these guys that would assure that there's no interference and that the count-out rule doesn't screw us again? What can we do? They're like, oh, let's do an Extreme Rules match where there'll be no disqualification and no count-outs. That way the Bullet Club and the Usos can interfere and make it a shitstorm again. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. Everybody was calling for a steel cage match. I would have been happy with the steel cage match. The Hell in a Cell's kind of been overdone recently. I would have been happy with a Hell in a Cell match, though. Just anything, or they're going to have to bar the Bullet Club and or the Usos at one point in time or another from coming out. Like, they're going to have to bar interference from the Extreme Rules match. If they bar interference from the Extreme Rules match, I think it'll be really good. I think Roman and AJ are going to tear each other up, and it's going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. And I still personally hope Roman retains, but we'll see how it goes. If the Bullet Club is just going to interfere again, then this is really dumb, and what the fuck is the point? But we'll get there when we get there. Anyways, that was my review. I think Payback was really solid. A lot of the matches were really good. Again, hopes that Enzo comes back sooner rather than later, and that he's actually as okay as the WWE is saying he is. And other than that, yeah, the main event was kind of iffy. The Jericho and Ambrose match was kind of but overall, really good night for wrestling, I think, and it poses hope for the future and how it goes, I think. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you guys for coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed the pay-per-view and the pay-per-view review. I'm Thundershot. I'm out. Peace late, and we will see you.